We are not approving Smart Interior to be a part of this motion.
I think we're clear. Clear? Yep. Okay, clear. Is there any further board discussion, questions, comments?
Questions? I thought phase 1 was complete.
It will be with the bathroom.
Bathroom.
It is now that you've approved the bathroom. Once that'll clear the permit.
Now, can somebody explain why you're not competing phase 3?
What do you mean by competing?
Competing the contract, the bids for phase 3.
Phase 2, we're putting a roof line out on the back of the kitchen, essentially starting phase 3 portion of it by doing the roof work. When we do the roof work for the expanded roof over the restaurant and the trellis roofs on the front and back of the clubhouse.
Can someone explain why we're not competing phase 3?
It doesn't exceed $500,000.
That's not a requirement.
It is in 720.
Understand the 720, but don't we have an obligation to compete bids, especially one of that magnitude?
So you going to answer that?
Yeah, the construction portion of it's relatively small.
It's your equipment and your plumbing and everything that goes into it.
Right. The new equipment is what's the most expensive. And we will bid that. The equipment will go based on the way we buy. I mean, when we buy any kind of restaurant equipment, whether it's out of reserve or capital, when we buy equipment for the restaurant, we get at minimum of 2 prices, and if we can, we get 3 if there's 3 different manufacturers that make the equipment. So the construction expense is relatively small. We're just talking about tearing out some interior walls and bumping out a wall in the back of the kitchen. That's it. The rest of it's already been done in phase 1. If you know you approved the bar being closed and you approved this enclosure here in phase 1, which that is part of phase 3. So we're already into phase 3 and doing work. That's why we'd like to get 2 and 3 approved by Bob, and then if you want phase 4, which is the pack, and this is mainly interior decorators and carpet people. Phase 4 will be the pack in the rooms at the other end of the clubhouse to get new soft goods.
Janice, do you have a comment?
I'm trying to get a clarification. Phase 3, the approval of Bob Carroll to do phase 3 is for the construction of the expansion kitchen.
For the construction side, that's correct. That's because, again, it has this, for the same reasons we want to approve him for phase 2, he's already started the bump out. He's already building the storage enclosure here. Bob Carroll's going to be the one that encloses the old bar, and Bob Carroll's going to be the one that builds the roof on the back of the kitchen. That leaves very little left for him to do construction-wise. So it makes, I don't think anybody would even bid it. Would they mark for like $20,000 or $30,000 for tearing walls out? Yeah, so it'd probably be extremely difficult to bid. So we've already started, based on phase 1, we already started into phase 2 and into phase 3. In hindsight, it would probably been better to take all 3 of these first phases and get them all bid out, drawn, and prove them all.
Any further board comment or questions? Any resident comment?
I would like to see a breakdown of phase 1, 2, and 3. I know it's 1, but at the workshop, the board was discussing a definition of what's in 2 and what's in 3 and maybe what's in 4. I haven't seen that.
You can come by my office tomorrow. It's in.
That didn't list specifically everything that was going to be done and in what order and part of what phase. And the board asked for that.
Bonnie, I did a list to the board. I'll give it to you tomorrow. Come by my office.
You have a comment?
Yes, Sylvia, I think it was a very large mistake not to have clearly defined delineation of phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Because you did not have delineation, you have slid phase 1 into phase 2, and phase 2 has into work in phase 3. And the contractor has, now you've backed yourself in a corner where you cannot bid separately because the contractor is extremely involved in all three phases. So a standalone bid for phase 2, phase 3, and phase 4 cannot be accomplished. And I think that this is just incredibly poor construction management.
No, that's not true. We can't take it out to bid.
I know that.
Wait a minute, we're not getting back and forth on comments here. Major comment, thank you. Any further resident comments? All in favor signify by raising your right hand. Opposed? Approve auditor's recommendation to change the definition of capital expenditure from $2,000 to $5,000.
Excuse me, Neil, can we back up for a minute? Is there going to be a dollar cap on that?
Yeah. Once we get all the bids in, Bob, for the different phases, then I'll share it with the board. We're going to break it out into 3 separate projects, and I'll share that with the board. And essentially, the reserve, it doesn't put the cap on it. The numbers, we're already working on the numbers, and they're essentially about the same number that's in the reserve. So we are, if you look at our bidding process, we bid that out. Gary and I did a year and a half ago to get those numbers, to have some numbers to work from when Larry and I and Gary, we did the reserve study last year. So we have the projects in the reserve by project, with actual numbers in there. And there's so far the bid out numbers have come very close to those numbers. But I will show you what's in the reserve and what the actual bid to the board when we get ready to do the project.
I'd like to make a
I want to take back my vote then. I would like to see a not to exceed before I approve it.
already voted on.
Yeah, I'd like to change my vote.
I'd like to make a recommendation for management and for the construction committee that you consider the possibility maybe at the January resident forum that we put some kind of a, maybe an overview or something like that of construction so that residents who have questions about it would like to know about it.
I just sent one out, my manager.
No, I understand that, but I think if you had at the resident forum next month, perhaps some kind of a presentation.
Okay.
Kind of went through it.
I'll give the schedule I gave the board.
Yeah.
I'll just go through that schedule.
Yeah. I'd like to see maybe some kind of presentation at the resident forum. I'll be there, by the way.
Yeah, Gary and I and Mark will do it. Bob.
Okay.
Yeah. May I ask a question?
Where are you now?
I'm back to the bathroom, and I apologize for doing it this way. But on the proposal, there are 2 questions that I have, and I neglected to turn the page. One is the exterior frame and existing door and windows at the workshop, install siding and brickwork to match existing as much as possible. Are we still going to do that if we're going to do the bump out? So that would be...
Janice, can you ask this question later? Can you ask the question just right?
It's been voted.
No, but it's...
We can answer any questions you have. Gary and I. But this is already done. Okay.
Just asking if you don't mind, if you don't mind. Fine? Is that okay?
As long as it doesn't get done wrong.
Okay, approve auditor's recommendation, change the definition of a capital expenditure from 2,000 to 5,000, retroactive to January 2nd, 2010. Kevin?
Yeah, this gets a little technical, but I'll try and explain it, what the auditors are suggesting. Our payment policy right now defines a capital expenditure as anything in excess of $2,000 with a useful life of more than 1 year. So the auditors are essentially suggesting that we raise that limit to $5,000, and the rationale is, particularly now as they're spending more and more money on these construction to the tune of excess of $1 million, which we've never spent before. What they're saying is the fixed asset listing is sort of growing exponentially. and it requires additional accounting work. You have to track those amounts over the useful lives, whatever they might be, 4, 5, 6 years or whatever. So you're depreciating those over the years. You should be, although quite honestly, we probably haven't been in the past, and it's going to be another very difficult task, is inventorying all the fixed assets. And obviously, the more that you capitalize and put into that listing, the more work is required. Now, you have to understand that, we've got one accountant, one assistant accountant. Quite honestly, I've been on some audits, one in particular, the Tennessee Valley Authority, where you literally have hundreds of auditors doing nothing but fixed assets. We don't have that capability, quite honestly. And so what they're suggesting is to help alleviate some of the workload is to increase the capital amount from $2,000 to $5,000. Now, what that will mean is that there'll be more money when you do not capitalize an item, you run it through our operating expenses. So it means our operating expenses will go up a bit if we approve this recommendation. But Marcia, Bill, and I agree with the recommendation, just as I say, to try and better manage what we have now as our fixed asset list. It's not, from the board's point of view, it's probably not that significant of a change, but from the workload, it would be.
You want to make a motion to that effect?
Yeah, so I'll make a motion that we approve the auditor's recommendation to change the definition of a capital expenditure to $5,000 with a useful life exceeding 1 year.
One retroactive.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, and their suggestion was to make it retroactive to January 1st, 2010.
For a second. Any more discussion, comment, question? Any resident comment? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item number 6, discuss the establishment of a subcommittee of the Board Policy and Administration Committee to define association security requirements in preparation for 2011 security contract.
I've got a point of information first, please. First, the contract is already renewed. It renewed approximately 75 days ago. It's a contract that renews 90 days out without written notice from us to them. We don't want to renew it without written notice from them to us that they will not. First. Second, this is the management function. This contract is not the same magnitude as the Valley Crest contract. It's about $180,000. It's a management function. We renewed it last year without board review. Thirdly, I have a committee, Security Community Watch Committee, which Roy Large chairs. We've spent approximately 6 months, right, Gary, writing all new post orders for the security operation that have been in place for the last 12 months.
I just found out about the packet that they had described. However, I do think that it should go out to bid before the 90 days is up. I think it would be better to give other companies the opportunity to have a bid out at $180,000 or whatever it is.
We bid it out last year, Val, 3 companies, they were low.
I still say that it would be nice to let them know 90 days ahead of time that we are putting it out to bid instead of just rolling it over automatically.
I have no problem with that. In 2011, we can definitely do that. But this thing did renew automatically.
It's my understanding you don't necessarily want a motion on this, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Okay. I should ask if there's any, since there's no motion, there's no need for that. Number 7, define process for phase 2 renovation furnishing. Val?
First of all, I was so confused about the phases. I didn't realize that we weren't going to be doing furnishings and everything until phase 4.